What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Climb Podcast, where young Christians are able to see and hear different perspectives of different situations so that we are able to gear ourselves for the greater battles to come. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Evangelist Feliciano. I'm here with my co-host CJ.
What's up, guys?
And we are here to be on another episode, sharing another topic with y'all. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If it's not, welcome back. If it is, though, your first time tuning in, we would ask you, please, to comment down below what was your favorite thing or subject from this episode. And feel free to subscribe and like. It's free. You don't have to do it. We're not forcing you. But feel free to do it, and we appreciate it. Today, I'm getting chills.
We got a good one today.
We got a good one. And he is actually a great pillar, I guess, in evangelism, at least in my books. He has been a great friend to our congregation and a great friend to, sincerely, my family. And he's just cool, man. Like, he's on fire for God. He's doing it. And we would like to welcome the one and the only Pastor Patrick Johnson.
Amen. What a joy to be with you guys. Appreciate you inviting me to be a part of the podcast. Want to say hello to everyone out there. And we're gonna have a great show for you. Great podcast. And so hope you listen and comment. Let us know what you think.
Ooh, he's getting on the train. So look, Pastor Johnson told you to comment and subscribe. Y'all got to do it. Y'all got to do it now.
I know I'm going to do it.
All right, let's get into this. So we are going to be talking about patience. So in the Bible, there's a lot of patient people.
Oh, yeah.
But you recognize also in the Bible, almost everybody is impatient. That is the way humanity is. Humanity is just impatient. I mean, think about it. We live in a time where everything is just technology. Technology. What do we have with technology? We want everything now. We want it immediate.
Yeah.
When I searched up the definition of patient, it was to accept or tolerate delays, problems, or suffering without becoming annoyed or anxious. So it's almost like you're able to take a couple hits. You're able to stand your ground because something is there that you're trusting in. At least that's my point of view of it. So my first question would be, what is a patient Christian, and why should I strive to be one?
So what a great question. And earlier when I begin to think about these questions, just it's such a powerful thought, because impatience is one of the things that gets people in trouble. The number one reason, or the first reason, that it's critical to be a patient Christian is because patience indicates that you are waiting on God, right? We know the Bible says in Isaiah, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. And so the main reason that you want to be a patient Christian is because people who are impatient usually make decisions they regret down the road. There's all kinds of examples in the Bible. The second part of the question, why should I be why do I need to be patient? Well, think about some of the people in the Bible who were impatient, right? And how it set the course, the trajectory of their lives. And then there's people in the Bible who are very patient, and we see that their patience paid off, right? For example, I was thinking about the story of Joseph. So here's God. He comes and he says, Joseph, he gives him a dream. He doesn't give him one dream. He gives him two dreams. And we know that in the Bible, whenever God repeated something, it means it's set in stone. This is going to happen. That's the way they believed in Bible times. So when Joseph got the second dream, he knew this is going to happen. Now, he didn't know how it was going to happen, but he knew it was going to happen. After the dream, what was left for him was to wait. Very interesting story throughout that Joseph story is when Potiphar's wife comes to Joseph and tries to seduce him. You got to remember, in Bible times, the way to usurp the authority of the person over you was to commit adultery with their wife. That was the way. That's what Jacob, the story of Jacob and Reuben, that's what happened there. It was a way of saying, I'm not under your authority. So when Potiphar's wife came to Joseph, it was almost like the devil was saying, because you got to think about the setting. God gives him a dream that he's going to one day be this great ruler, this great leader, right? And he's a slave. He's not ruling anything, right? When you're a slave, you're bowing down to everyone, where the promise was, God said, everyone's going to bow down to you. You're going to be in charge. But as a slave, he's not in charge, right? Potiphar's wife comes to him. And what she's literally saying is, listen, you're a slave, but I can elevate you if you will give in to this sin, if you'll give in to this immorality. She might have been the symptom, but we know who was the source. The source was the devil trying to get Joseph to be impatient.
Yep.
Say, Joseph, listen, that whole dream thing, but that's not going to happen, but you can have this now. And usually when people are impatient, that's the way the devil is able to get them. Because he said, listen, why are you doing this whole waiting thing when you can have this now, right? David, same situation. Over and over and over again, the devil said, listen, just kill Saul and you can have this now. But God was saying, no, I want you to wait. I want you to wait on me. Now in the world, people are not waiting on God. So, we don't understand out in the world. But in the kingdom of God, when we are impatient, it usually means we're unwilling to wait for God. And that gets us in trouble. Esau said, listen, I have to have this now or I'm going to die. And we know that wasn't true. Because if that was true, that bowl of soup was not going to keep you alive. Right?
Fact.
Yeah. And so impatience it's a really dangerous way to be, because it causes us to make rash and sometimes decisions based on the fact that, listen, I don't want to wait anymore. And those never go good. We can see it all throughout the Bible. Sarah, I'm sick and tired of waiting on God. And you know the story. He gives Hagar to Abraham, and we're still dealing with all the fallout from that. So it's critical to be a patient Christian, because what that means is I am going to wait and make sure I do it God's way rather than my way.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it gives us, it builds in us like a stirring for saying, I'm going to also trust in God. You're giving him.
Absolutely.
You're giving him that authority to say, you know what? I'm just going to leave it to you. God, you work in me. You figure it out. And I'm going to pray that you would help me understand it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love about patience.
Yeah.
Not only patience is just helping you being patient, but it's helping you with all different types of aspects in your life, and you don't even recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that insane, CJ?
Yeah.
Like, what you think about that? Like, because I know for me, that's like super like insane.
Yeah, and especially when you're patient, you have to that really tests your faith, because like you definitely have to full on trust in God just to change it yourself or himself. Like you have no control in it. You're just like, okay, God, I'm giving this all to you. It's up to you. Like that's just a really big test of faith, and we got to be careful. Like if like one day we're just like, okay, I'm tired of being patient. Like I'm just gonna put it into my own hands. That could cause destruction. So I think that's just a great way just to test your faith, and just, and it's like a great thing that we could do. Just give God all our patience and just be just like, hey, you take it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
That's like so powerful. My second question, how hard is it to be patient? And I can answer this for everybody. It's so stinking hard to be patient sometimes. Let me give you an example. I lost my wallet. I lost my ID. I lost my debit card. I lost two $50 gift cards that I got for my birthday. I flipped out.
Man.
I flipped the whole bedroom upside down looking for my wallet. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, because there's so much things going on. And I had my debit card in there. I didn't care about everything else. I just needed my debit card. It took forever for the debit card to come in. And I would ask every day, Ma, did anything come in the mail? No, sweetie, nothing didn't come in. Ma, did anything come in the mail? Nope, nothing. Dad, did anything come in the mail? No, go check. I haven't checked. And it wasn't there until today. I actually got it. I'm like, thank God. Now I can move on. But I'm going to be honest, that's kind of wrong of me. I just got to be patient with it and figure it out. But what y'all thinking? How hard is it to be patient?
The reason, I don't think it was always hard to be patient. You know, let me rephrase that. It's always been hard to be patient. But I think it's even harder for us now because of the technological world we live in. We can get everything so fast. And so it's almost like we have been programmed to have it now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it. I could buy something on Amazon. They say it's going to be here tomorrow. And yet the whole day I'm mad because it wasn't there first thing in the morning. That's stuff that, you know, our parents never couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
And so a part of it is just the hour we're living in. But the other reason I think it's so hard for us to be patient, is because I think sometimes we put too much emphasis on what we're going to get and what it's going to do for us. We expect it to do so much more for us than it actually does. You know, I like to fish. I like to torment poor little fish. And so I can buy some fishing lures. And in my mind, I'm going to buy these fishing lure. And from now on, I'm going to catch every single solitary fish there is in the water. And so while I'm waiting for those, in my mind, I'm thinking, man, I am missing out on the thousands of it. But that's not really true. You're saying?
Yep.
So I'm going to buy it. I'm going to go out there. It's not going to work like none of the other ones. But I think what it is that anticipation of, man, once I have this thing, my life is going to be good. But that's not really true. Because you got your debit card, right? Mm-hmm. Have you used it?
We're not going to speak on that.
We can be honest.
We're not going to speak on that. I'm going to be honest. No.
You had to have it. But when you got it, you're like, oh, I'm good now. I don't even need it.
I don't even need it. Like, well, I'm stressing about. So, yeah, it's so hard to be patient. And I'm glad that you mentioned about technology. Technology has shaped our impatience for everybody in this world. I mean, you were talking about, like, our parents. If I asked my dad, like, if anything came in the mail, he'd say, we didn't have that. We would literally have to go to the store. If they didn't have it, you wait and you figure it out. If you have to put something there temporary, put it temporary. But this technology is just, it's insane how so much technology is moving so fast and so quick. It's literally insane. Like, I have no words, bro.
Yeah. And I think technology is just trying to get in our lives too. And that's not definitely the way God made it. Like, he made it to where just like you shouldn't get stuff like that fast. Like, you should just kind of it correlates into faith a little bit. Like, you should have faith that it's going to come to you eventually and not like guaranteed to you. And that's what kind of technology and all these things are doing. Like, you guys gave great examples. Like, it's just like not helping you in that sort of way at all. So yeah.
There's a good thought that said most accidents, car accidents, is because of people who are speeding and people who are unwilling to wait at a light. So think about that. Most car accidents are the results of people speeding. Well, why do you speed? You're
gotta
patient.
go. You gotta go.
And people who are unwilling to wait at the light, right? And so one, you're speeding because you're impatient, and two, you run through the light. Why? Because you're impatient. And so impatience gets folks in trouble.
Yeah.
And so especially in the hour we're living in, we're talking about the technology. You know, I'm holding this iPhone in my hand. They say this iPhone, and it's just the iPhone 14, has more technology in it than the rocket ship that took the first man to the moon. That's what we're holding in our hands.
That's so insane. Like, we're moving at such a fast rate. And I feel like our flesh is slowly trying to catch up to that. But at the same time, it's taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
Because this technology it's grown our impatience literally like a fungus. It's just growing, dude. And it's so insane, man. So this next question. Is there ever such thing of being too patient? And if there is, what is it? Because I'm going to give you an example. You were talking about fishing. I'm a fishing man. Sometimes I get too patient. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to let the line go. I'm going to let it wait. I'm going to go grab a bag of chips and I'll be back. As soon as that happens, I go leave and I wait and I wait and I wait and I wait. The fish already took my bait. It's gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what? Y'all could have just came when I like came back. I mean, like, you got to work something out. But I feel like that has to work somewhere in the kingdom of God. It has to. And if it is, I want to know it. Is there such a thing of being too patient?
That's a really, really hard question, because sometimes you can think you're being patient when you're actually just procrastinating. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't really think you can be, if your patience is you're waiting on God, then there's no such thing as too patient. Because we know that God doesn't work according to our time frame. He works according to his time frame. And because he works according to his time frame, we can never say when we're waiting too long. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I go back to the Joseph story. I believe Joseph waited 14 years from the time of the promise to the time of him stepping into it. So I don't think as a Christian, if you're waiting on God, there's such thing as too patient. But what I've seen people do is they say, while I'm waiting on God, as we said tonight in the service, I think sometimes God's waiting on us. And because we're procrastinating, we think that's patience, but we're actually just not doing what we're supposed to do so that God can do what he needs to do.
Absolutely.
And then we blame God. But the truth of the matter is, or to answer your question, if you're waiting on God to do something in your life or to bring a promise to pass, then you can never be too patient. Because as I was telling someone tonight, you much rather, obedience allows you to live in the house God builds. Disobedience and impatience, which is usually one of the tentacles of disobedience, is impatience, causes you to live in the house you built. You with me?
Yeah.
And I'd much rather live in the house God builds, because he's a much better builder than me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you know what's crazy? I don't know why, but my mind went straight to like the Three Little Pigs. It went straight to it because here's what's happened. You're trying to build all these things, and you're trying to build your life off of all these temporary things. When you do that, it's not gonna last. It'll go in a snap. It'll be sooner than you think, because it's gonna be sooner than you think, because you're gonna,
it won't be, when we build on impatience, we build weak things. The man who built on the sand and the man who built on the rock, right? That's the story.
There we go.
So why did the guy build on the sand? Because to get to rock, you got to dig
deep.
And sometimes you have to dig really deep. His brother like, man, I am not doing all that work, digging big old giant holes. I'm just gonna brush this sand aside, flatten it out a little bit, right? And then I'm gonna build. Now, in that story of the man who built his house, if you would have looked at those two houses when they were done being built, they look exactly the same.
Yep.
You wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. They would have looked the same. Who knows? The man who built his house on the sand, probably because he was able to build it faster, maybe even it might have even been better looking than the other guy. The difference, though, is when the storm comes, right? The storms of life is a great divider of how you build or what you're building on. The storms of life is going to reveal. That's the word. It's a great revealer of whether you built this because you were in a rush. Like, man, listen, I just got to build this house. I need somewhere to live. Or it might take me a little bit of time to build it, but I want it to last. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so,
oh my, that's so powerful.
That's a great point.
Like,
yeah,
isn't that powerful, CJ? What you think about that? Because I'm lost for words. I'm just sitting back.
I could definitely relate to being a procrastinator, because like I'm just thinking to myself in school, every day. I mean, sometimes I slack off, and I notice I get lower grades than other kids in my school. and in my class, and we're both taking the same test. But the difference between us is they built a foundation on studying right as soon as they get home, really learning about it, like taking pride in what they do. And the difference is I'm not studying at all. I think, oh, okay, I'm going to do it last minute. That's my foundation. I'm like, I'm making excuses in my head like, oh, I'll remember it more because I'm doing it like way later. And I'd rather sleep. But that's just me procrastinating and being lazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think definitely having a great foundation is a key point in that. And we could all catch ourselves just having weak foundations. So,
yeah. You know what's crazy? You just described my whole senior year. I would do everything so last minute.
Yeah.
Mom, Dad, if
Trust
you're
me.
watching this,
All
you
of
know
us.
how bad our last minute was. And that was through all my high school years. I was so last minute. But now I learned at work, you cannot be last minute.
Yeah.
You have to prep.
Mhm.
Especially in the job that I do construction. And the thing with construction is if you don't prep, you will not have a nice, beautiful looking piece of structure. You can't. I can just describe it right now. We're doing siding on a house right now. But it's a different type of siding. It's concrete. It's like made out of concrete fiber. I don't even know what the heck it is, but it's hard. You have to have a lot of prep work because if not, it's just gonna fall apart.
Yeah. Getting back to the thought of patience and using that thought of construction. In construction, you have to be so patient. Think about this.
Yeah.
Because, when my family and I were missionaries in China,
Mm-hmm.
when you're a missionary, you learn patience because you realize people in third world, they don't move at the speed of America. America moves at warp speed, everything. People in third world don't move at warp speed.
They're on island time.
They're on. So getting your house built, you have to be patient. Why? Because the first people to come in, you have the people who are gonna they're not the first people that work on the house are not the builders. You got to go to some real estate agent. You got to go to someone that has the floor plans. You got to do floor plans. You got to pick out all this. But in your mind, I'm like, man, I want the house now. No, you got to. There's steps. You got to go to the people, pick out the floor plan. You got to pick out this. And after you do that, you got to pick out a lot. And once you picked out a lot, now
it's a process.
It's a long process,
huge process.
And so impatience, you cannot be impatient and build a good structure.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's so spot on. And it's hard too because a lot of people don't know it. This is why we're here. This is why God sent his son, because to learn to be patient, and if you're impatient, you will learn by yourself what your actions do. My next question, who are some examples of patient Christians? I know you mentioned Joseph. David was a great one. Who do y'all think are some patient Christians?
My goodness, the whole Bible is, you can start from the very beginning. Abraham, he gets a promise at 75. He gets a promise at 75. Now, in between there, because of Sarah's decision, it looked like Abraham was impatient. But if you read the story, Abraham wasn't the one that suggested it. But the promise didn't show up until he was
like
99, almost 100 years old. So that's 25 years of waiting, and he never wavered. You see what I'm saying? The Bible literally, he was called the father of the faith because he trusted God, which is what Christian patience is a willingness to trust and wait for God. So Abraham's a good example. You have any examples that you can think of?
Yeah, I would say, like you said, there's a ton of people, but I would say Job. Because it's one thing to be patient, but it's another thing to be patient also while you're struggling.
While you're in the storm.
And everybody's against you. For Job, like, he thought God was against him, but that was just the devil trying to test if he was an actual faithful servant of God. And God gave permission to the devil to torment his life. And Job was just going through everything, like, you could throw at him. Loss of family, loss of cattle, loss of land, just straight diseases. Even his wife was telling him, oh, just curse God and just kill yourself. Like right now, I'm pretty sure that's what she said. And he was patient through all of that. Like, man, I couldn't imagine if I was going through that. I would just be like, I don't know what I would do, but I would definitely not stay faithful through all of that. And that's what he did. Even his friends came towards him and said, oh, you must have done something wrong with God. And he's probably so confused, like, wait a minute, yeah, God is punishing me right now. Like, only God would have the power to set this all upon me. But he stayed faithful through that, and look where it got him. It got him, like, twice as many children, like 3 times as many cattle, like all of that. God blessed him through that. So I just think that's a great example.
You know, one example that I know, and this is just for me, my pastor.
Mm-hmm.
You've met Pastor Sispansky. You know Pastor Sispansky. He is so patient. It's like, dude, what the world are you doing? How are you this patient? But you have to understand, it's because he puts God first, and he lets God take control of everything.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to see that. And I strive and I pray for that, because that's a quality that is so hard to find in the world today.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
only you can get it from God.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads me to my next point. Salvation. It is so crucial for your life. Why is God so patient with us? And why is he willing to give us this salvation and willing to wait for us?
Because God operates in eternal things, whereas man, because we live in time and because we know we have short time, you know what I'm saying, we want everything. But God, a good way to look at it is, God is not as, what's the word here? He's a future God. God is always looking towards future. He's always speaking.
Yeah.
I mean, the story of Abraham, your children are going to be slaves, but I've got plans for them. His plans are 430 years in advance. You know, even the story in when he tells Eve, your seed, the seed of the woman, is going to bruise the head of that was in the future. So God is always considering our future, because he is a future God. Our destinies in Christ are so critical with God. God's always pointing us towards destiny. Jacob, throughout the Bible. And so I think because of that, God is so patient. P.S. I used tonight, the Bible is God's positioning system, you know. One of the things about a GPS is when you make a wrong turn, it has a great saying, recalculating. And I think God's always having this, okay, recalculating. And what that means is, listen, the road that me and you were on, okay, you took a wrong turn, but that doesn't mean the destination's over. I've still got the destination for you.
Hey everyone, this is CJ, your co-host. Unfortunately, our podcast got cut a little short. We experienced some technical difficulties, but I'm here to let you guys know that you've reached the end of our podcast episode. So I hope you've enjoyed it all from this point. Subscribe, comment down below if you've been liking what we've been doing with these episodes. And we hope you've enjoyed tuning in, and make sure you stay tuned for future podcast episodes we are going to have. God bless. Thank you all for